Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Deltana number SDL980 in a US15 finish. This is a door latch. This is a classic sort of design door latch. I don't know how many decades this design has been available, but it has been several. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was older than a century. By domestic manufacturers, most notably Ives, a company who has been around since the late 19th century for sure. I know that I have a catalog of theirs from 1896. This latch is not in that catalog. But this design, Deltana is not reinventing the wheel, nor are a lot of hollow metal manufacturers. Pardon me, nor are a lot of hardware manufacturers. A lot of modern manufacturers are certainly looking at old designs 100 plus years ago for inspiration. So this is a storm door latch. You know, someone comes and says they want a storm door latch. The next question becomes, okay, is it the one with the knob and the lever? Yep, that's the one. Okay, it's the SDL980. And just to keep it into perspective, the Ives part number was 980. Okay. Single door latch, 980, or storm door latch, forgive me. So again, storm door latch. And this video is going to be a visual tour of the item. We're going to look at the other finishes that it's available in. We'll take a look at the installation instructions, which are linked to down below. And just talk about that. It's very likely that you're replacing one rather than doing a new installation. A new installation would likely you might locate other options in the marketplace, because other options certainly do exist. I noticed that the set screw was loose in the packaging, so I'm going to seat the set screw back down into the knob. I don't want that rolling around in the packaging causing micro damage to everything else. So that's just going to be a threaded spindle. That's all it is. We'll just take it completely apart. This is going to be brass. They say material solid brass. That lever is going to be solid brass, but the knob is not solid brass. You can not only see that it's hollow, but that it is relatively light. But the fact of the matter is, you know, it's a piece of brass which affords you a very nice architectural finish, and in this case, US 15. But they could call it 619 satin nickel. The 619 just simply means that it's a brass-based material. Okay, let's take some dimensional properties. An outside knob is going to have a diameter of about an inch and 11/16. The projection of the knob from its rosette, about 2 inch, maybe inch and 15/16. Okay, that rosette about an inch and 7/8. The total projection of the rosette appears to be about 3/8 of an inch. As we move through the lock from the exterior to the interior, the next thing that we're going to encounter is the latch bolt. Well, forgive me, it's really going to be the spindle. And the spindle has this odd feature to it, and it's that odd feature that engages the latch bolt. That triangular shaped head of the latch bolt is what will rest inside of the spindle, so that when you rotate the spindle, it will drive that triangular shaped latch in as a result of pushing that in and out. Interesting. It's actually not unlike a sidebar in a high security cylinder. When you've satisfied the shear line and you turn the key, the sidebar, because it's now free to move, because of the pins that are in the sidebar that are working with the sidebar, it can then move out of the way back into the cylinder housing. Interesting. To me, it's a very similar concept. Then you have the inside rows, and this will give you the ability to put a privacy function onto that. When that spindle is running through there, it will just turn. It'll just turn, okay? When you throw that privacy function out, it will now prevent that from turning. Now the inside lever, you know, and why these are knob by lever, I don't know. I do not know the history of that. I would like to know. Okay, overall of the lever is about 2 1/8. Its projection from its rows, we can kind of get our hands around it here. Looks like it's a pushing 2-inch, maybe 1 7/8. The center line of the lever itself to the edge of the lever appears to be about 1 1 7/8 perhaps. Okay, this would certainly be solid brass. Okay, nice satin nickel finish on this. What's left? A strike for the jam, a T-strike. Take it out of the packaging. That's one nice thing that Deltana does. They have packaging that allows you to that allows them to insulate all the parts from each other. Overall height of that strike is about 1 3/4 inches. Overall width is about 1 5/16 inches. The center line of the screw hole, however, to the edge of the lip, looks like it's about 7/8 of an inch. Then lastly, you will have your screw package. You should have a total of 6 screws in here, which you do, and they do appear to all be the same size. Okay. Yeah, they appear to be all the same size. 2 for each rows, and then then 2 for the strike. Now, let's talk about the different finishes that we can do on this. And a quick, here's what we'll do. We'll switch to the screen view. We're going to talk about the different finishes, then we're going to dump into the installation instructions and product catalog, things of that nature. So let's do that now. Okay, so this is the item that we're looking at here. Let's search the site for Deltana and the other finishes that they have. So they have it in stock in oil rub bronze, satin nickel, black, polished brass with a lacquer, unlacquered polished brass, and then antique brass. Those are the finishes. Now, back to the item that we're working on. Extended description information down here. The one thing I did not discuss with the tape measure was the back set. And holding the tape measure on that unit, I can confirm the back set is indeed 1 3/4 inches. So, storm door latch, round tubular lock, solid brass. Yeah, it's certainly made of solid brass, but that doesn't mean that the material is, you know, through and through brass. Okay. Also used for wood or metal storm doors. Okay, privacy button lock spindle on latch bolt. Adjusts for doors 7/8 to 1 3/8 thick. And that's going to be, of course, a function of the length of the spindle. And the overall length of the spindle is about 3 1/4 inches. And we're going to put the tape measure on that when we switch back to the camera view. Reversible? Yeah, certainly reversible. 1 3/4 inch back set. So this Deltana item is indeed a replacement for the Ives original item. So we have tech drawing. Let's take a look at that first. And that will give the important dimensional properties that we've attempted to go over. Okay, 7/8 to 1 3/8 inches right here. So give you an idea of what it is dimensionally. Then installation. And this sheet, whoopsie. Okay, so we've got that broken link fixed, and this is actually the document, or basically the document that comes with it. It's not the exact document, but it has all the same information on it. So, you know, your installation, looking at this, is going to be very simple and straightforward. If you're doing a new installation, you're simply going to place, you're going to drill a hole through the door that is 5/8, 1 3/4 from the edge of the door over, except we're assuming that the door is square edged. You know, if for some reason, you know, 1 3/4 is from the center line of the thickness of the door. If for some reason your door is beveled, just be mindful to account for that when you're measuring 1 3/4. Sure, the door is going to be, I'm quite sure the door will be square edged, but if it happens to have a bevel, you want to check that first. So you'll drill a 5/8 hole through the door, then you're going to drill a 5/8 hole through the edge of the door, right in the center of the thickness of the door. We're saying 2 5/8 deep, 1 3/4 plus 5/16, so 2 1/16. Yeah, so you're going to need to over drill. You're going to need to over drill. This 5/8 hole is going to need to be drilled to about here, is what we're driving at. So you'll have to drill back through that hole and then down deeper a little bit. And you want to make sure that you get that hole drilled in the center. So after you have your two holes drilled, you can proceed. However, before you proceed, before you just start drilling holes, you're going to want to make sure that you are placing it at the proper vertical height. What I mean by that is, does it match the other stuff that you're installing, that are already installed? You don't want this at some odd height that may or may not match anything that you're doing. Also, you're going to want to make sure that the projection of the trim does not interfere with the projection of any other trim. So what I'm driving at by saying that is, you know, you have your frame. You're going to have your storm door. You're going to have your entry door. Okay, you want to make sure that you're going to want to make sure that what you put out here is not going to interfere with what you have going on here. Could it happen? Absolutely. That's why we're talking about it. You want to make sure there's no conflict, is what I'm driving at. Match the height if you can, and otherwise, you know, just continue on. So you've got 2 holes drilled. Then after that, what I would end up doing would be, well, I guess they give us steps. Drill this hole, then drill this hole. Step 3, the latch assembly. I would take the entire latch assembly and I would insert it into the door. And that little lip trim that's there is going to project off the face of the door ever so slightly. Okay. Once you have that done, you're then going to depress the latch bolt face itself so that you can then push your spindle down into it. And then at that point, you'll have your spindle nestled in that triangular shaped portion, and then it all sits there nice and neat. Then from there, bring your rosettes, pre-drill the holes, attach your roses, thread on your knob, thread on your lever, and then set that with the set screws that are in the base. Okay. Then you're going to go about prepping the strike. You want to make sure that the vertical line of the holes and the strike is the vertical center line of the latch prep itself. So when you prep the strike, they want you to drill a 3/4 inch hole, 1/2 inch deep. The mortise is 1/16 of an inch, and you'll drill a 3/32 pilot hole for here. And assuming all of those screws are the same size, you'll drill that 3/32 for these holes as well. Okay. So I think what we'll do is switch back to the camera view touch on those couple dimensions that we missed, then show you how the latch and the spindle go together. Now, the additional dimensions that we were talking about. Overall length of the body, they want that hole drilled 2 3/4 deep. Yeah, that would be perfect. The edge of the door, or the edge of the bolt, the center of that hole, that's 1 3/4. Okay, so that's going to be your back set. Now, in your installation, you're going to push this into the hole in the edge of the door. And you can take all this out. There's no reason to, but there's nothing to it. So if you did take it out and get curious, there's really nothing to break. I wouldn't worry about doing that. But as you depress the latch, okay, that's when you bring your spindle in. You kind of just, because it's spring-loaded, you just push it in there and kind of just work its way in. And then that's going to seat into that depression in the accommodation made for the latch. And as you turn your hardware, that's how you're going to retract the latch. That's how that works. So, at that point, not much left to do. I think we gave you the overall length of the spindle. Yeah, I'm quite sure that we did. So, they're saying that this is going to work on 7/8 inch and 3/8. Any storm door that you're going to really be working on is certainly going to be in that range. 1 1/4 inch, 1 1/8, something like that. So it'll work on that range. But that's your primary installation. And once you have that done, again, your rosettes, you're going to want to drill those so that you're not making contact at all. You're going to center that spindle in there pretty nicely. And what you should probably do is put the rosette down, thread the knob down to where it needs to go, and obviously this knob has to be hollow, otherwise you won't get that spindle in very far. Have the knob or the lever center the rose, and then mark your holes for drilling. Remove your trim, pre-drill your 2 holes. Okay, come back, attach your material. They show the screws going up and 12 and 6 o'clock. Absolutely, there'd be no real reason not to put them at 3 and 9. It's just that's usually on the side of the lock, right? Having it below, it's going to be on the side of the lock, away from the strike jam is where that's going to normally be located. So it's really going to look. It's going to look like that. Okay. That's really it. There's not a lot to talk about the installation. If your holes are existing, I would make sure that they match the holes required for the hardware, and then I would proceed accordingly. Like I said, there's really not a lot to talk about when it comes to this. Let's switch to the back to the screen view, where we can take a look at the other resources available to us from Deltana. So let's just do that real quick. Okay, so back to the item that we are looking at. The link to the manufacturer's page is here. You can go ahead and click on that, and you'll be able to pull up not only all of the Deltana products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the most current product catalog. Their website is nice because they do put their material in a logical format. Explore our catalog. I just click, catalog, and then I get to these top-level categories. Well, okay, if I know, that I'm looking for, maybe door accessories, I'm going to find my storm door latches. And what I had said earlier about doing this as a new installation, you may not be, and the reason I say that is because there are other options, and you can see a couple of other options here from Deltana, And what I'm saying is the rectangular escutcheons. Okay, same concept of the lock, but rectangular escutcheons is the point. Okay, so you can look at all of that. Then their subcategories under storm door latches are here. The point is that they have nice resources here. Specs, installation, that's available there. And that's how that works. So, nice Nice format. Now, objectively, what I like about Deltana is their customer service folks. Good quality customer service folks and inventory. Let's wrap up this video on camera. And what I was saying was, you know, I like their people. You call there. Generally, the person that you speak to on the phone can answer the question. It's usually a stock question. You know, do you have this in stock? And they, you know, they do a really good job at accommodating those types of requests. You know, for those inquiries. Their inventory is generally very good, and let's just be frank. They're importing from overseas. They're not bringing in 4 of these. They've got to order 400 of these. So you'll find that their inventory is either they got plenty, or they're out of stock, and they're out of stock for 9 weeks or more. Anyway, that's just the nature of, you know, that's the nature of what those folks do. I would not hesitate to suggest that you consider Deltana. Good quality product, good quality people. I've used their products personally, and I can attest to the high performance of much of their product line. Any questions on the SDL980 in a US 15 finish or any other Deltana product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.